So you're still going to keep ending up on the job market every 3 months. It's like you get a job, but you can never keep one. There are many reasons why people are on the job market constantly. And I'm not going to give too much away. I'm going to save a lot of my HR knowledge for the class. But I'll tell you one of the main reasons is why. I'll tell you the main reasons why. And I'll give you a quick freebie right now. Everything that you learn in orientation for your company is a truckload of trash. Workplace survival is about alliances. It's not about how well you work. I'm sure there are many of you guys who have worked very well. You have perfect work, however, you're always fired. Sometimes working too well in the workplace can actually work against you. We'll talk about that in the class as well. You never want to overdo it. And I'll tell you the reasons why. At the end of the day, I know we play around, we laugh, we joke around. I joke around on these videos and stuff. But at the end of the day, it's about you keeping a roof over your head. And if you're on the job market every 3 months, it's not going to be possible. How is it going to be possible for you to build a savings account and all of that if you're always getting fired? You need to learn workplace politics. Here's an insider tip as somebody who's worked in HR for years. The rules don't apply to everyone. Hope you know that. Many people go into the workplace not understanding that this is a war zone. When you go into the workplace, it's survival of the fittest. All those rules and regulations and things they talk about in orientation, it's a whole bunch of trash. It's all about favorites, hierarchy, and power. And until you understand that, you're going to be on the job market every 3 months until you understand how to get in the right place and leverage your value. We'll talk about this in the Corporate Spartan Masterclass. I'm going to give you guys some insider tips. I've worked in HR for years. I've seen it all. I'm telling you, I've seen the employee that keeps getting promoted and somebody finds out that she's been sleeping with her boss and that lands on my desk. I've seen everything. I've seen everything. There's nothing that I haven't seen as somebody who works in HR. I've seen it all. And this class is going to help you get your footing. A lot of people, it's not that you can't last in any workplace. You just don't know how to play the game. And it is a game, and I hate to make everything a game, but it's the game of life, and you need to know how to play it. And if you don't move your chess pieces correctly, you're going to keep getting fired, because the number one thing that most people do is form the wrong alliances. If you are a workplace threat, you need to be documenting everything, okay? I'm talking screenshots, printouts, have a folder that says receipts on it and put everything in there. Because you have to cross your T's and dot your I's when you are a workplace threat. Why? Because everybody wants to take you down. You are the person that people fear is going to take their spot, and you are the person that people fear is going to take their position. So because of that, they will sabotage you on the clock out of your job and out of your position. You have bills to pay, right? So you don't have time to be getting sabotaged. So if you are a workplace threat, you need to protect yourself. So let's go through how to protect yourself. I'm going to talk more about this kind of stuff in depth and kind of give you guys a blueprint on this for all of you ladies who are in corporate, for all of you gentlemen who are in corporate, for all the beautiful women that are having a hard time surviving corporate. I will be able to help you because I worked in HR or still work in HR. I've been in HR for years, so I've seen so many different scenarios. But if you are a threat and you work well in the workplace, you need to be documenting everything, crossing your T's and dotting your I's, because people are waiting. They are waiting for you to slip up so they can report you to HR. I get reports all the time, like literally all day, every day. I felt so low. That was the first time in my life. I remember this like it was yesterday. That was the first time in my life that I realized that when you are in work settings, these people are not your friends. Never let your guard down and never believe that they're going to vouch for you, unless it's certain scenarios that I will speak about later on in the video. It was my first big girl job. I was 20 years old. It was my first big girl corporate job at a luxury firm in Miami Beach. I remember it like it was yesterday. I remember walking in, opening the door. I remember me walking in like it was yesterday. I remember the color of the floors. It was checkerboard floors because it was an old school Miami Beach corporate office. And I remember there was a cafe next door, and I would get a croissant for myself every morning, and I would also get a croissant for the woman that was supposed to be training me. We'll call the woman Laura. Laura was supposed to be training me, so every time I got a croissant and a coffee for myself, I would also get her a croissant and a coffee. Remember, I'm a 20-year-old with my first big girl corporate job, so I think that's the nice thing to do. At 20 years old, I didn't really know how the world works. So that niceness or kindness is not really received well by people. You have to be stingy with your love. So you have to learn who to give those kind of things to and who not to, right? But I'm 20, so I don't know the difference. I think that this lady likes me. Turns out she was training me incorrectly so that I can screw up on contracts. And there was a system that my boss would go through to see how much money we were pulling in and things like that. And there was a time he was so confused. He came to my office in a panic. He knocked on the door and he came in and he said, I got to ask you a question. And I'm like, yeah, sure. He's like, what formula have you been putting into the math system? And I wrote the formula I was putting into the math system. And he said, Mel, you can't do that. He's like, that ruined the whole network. It was a very big problem. Like, he literally had to call the owner of the company. And I was like, but I don't understand. That's what I was taught. This is the formula I was given. And he was like, I don't understand, Mel. You're a very smart girl. How could you make a mistake like that? I'm like, I didn't make a mistake. That is the formula that I was given. So he called the lady in that was training me. And she backed out of it and she told me she didn't give me that formula. I said, you didn't? Okay. So I grabbed my notebook and I go through the pages because I take a lot of notes when I'm getting trained. And I said, that is the formula right there. I would never write it incorrectly because when I take notes, I take the best notes to make sure I do the job correctly because my mind works in sequence. So this is what I have. And it was a huge back and forth. Ladies, let me tell you something. When you're in these corporate places, first of all, I've already told you, ladies, that women uphold the patriarchy, okay? Women don't need to be fighting the patriarchy. Women are a part of it. Women enforce the patriarchy. They uphold it. They enforce it, and they will reinforce it. How do I know that? Because when a woman is smart and intelligent, women have a problem with it. So women are the ones that uphold and reinforce the patriarchy. So this woman saw how well I worked, didn't like it, and decided to treat me incorrectly so I can make mistakes. Intelligence envy is a real thing, by the way. Some people will envy you because you're smart, especially women. Women are the top holders of the patriarchy. The minute a woman even spots a smart, intelligent threat in the workplace, that's the woman she's going to go after her because women are reinforcers of the patriarchal system. Okay? So protect yourself as a workplace triple threat. Your colleagues are not your friends. Okay? And I'm not saying I thought this lady was my friend. I just thought we were cool. I was 20 years old. I would get her croissants next door. I would get her coffee. I never thought that she would do something like that. And when I found out, I was very disturbed. I remember I went into the bathroom and I closed the door and I was crying. And I called my dad and I was crying to my dad and I was crying to my mom. I remember I put them both on three-way and I'm like, she was, it's a huge problem. I hope I don't get fired. It's like a network problem and all this stuff. And I was crying. I cried all day and I was 20 years old. So I kind of told myself, I'm like, maybe she didn't mean it. And then the instances just kept getting worse and worse and worse. So people are not your friends in the workplace. I think that the way that you approach your colleagues has to be very, very stoic and very stern, if that makes sense. Do not start to get comfortable with your coworkers. They are not your friends. They will throw you under the bus at any time. Protect yourself as a workplace triple threat. Create the right alliances with the right people. Now, this is a mistake that a lot of women make in the workplace. I'm going to talk about this for a second. And I'll talk about this kind of stuff more in depth in the masterclass called Corporate Spartan. In case you guys didn't know, I've been working in HR for many, many years. I've been working in HR for decades. So, well, not decades, but close to. So I know the system. So I'm going to be teaching you guys tips, tricks, tools, how to survive. And of course, teaching you how to fight for your rights when you're in these places. So you have to build the right alliances with the workplace, in the workplace. And here's a mistake that a lot of women make. I always encourage women to not be so gullible. I think that's the biggest challenge that women have. Women are very gullible. That's why it's easy to recruit women on a hate train. Women, it's so easy to make a woman hate another girl. It's so easy because women are so gullible. And when someone tells them something, they automatically believe it. So because of that, it's easy to create hate trains because women are easy to recruit because they're gullible. A lot of them are gullible and they believe whatever's being told to them. So when you go in the workplace as a woman, you cannot automatically decide who's an ally and who's not based on your first month there, okay? It's going to take a while for you to understand personalities, okay? And it's going to take a while for you to understand no one's trustworthy. You can't trust anyone. But it'll allow you to tell who's a snake and who's not, right? So it takes time. The mistake that a lot of women make, and again, this goes back to women being communal. Women are always looking to attach themselves to people right away. That is always, I think, the biggest challenge I've encountered with women is the incessant need to be attaching yourself to any woman that's in proximity to you in a particular environment that is nice to you. So what I've noticed is a lot of times when you go in the workplace, if you're new, the girl that's the nicest to you is usually going to be the one that's the snake, okay? The one that's the nicest, the one that is all over you, is usually the one that is not to be trusted. It's usually the quiet one that's in the corner that doesn't really say anything to you. That is a better candidate for someone that can be a workplace ally. And the biggest mistake that women make is their desire for intense friendships causes them to fall into traps, okay? I always tell women, control the part of you that desires to make friends so badly. I get it. As women, we're communal. I get it. You want to connect with other women. You want to laugh. You want someone that you can talk to on your work time, on your work break. I get that. But you cannot let that clog your vision or your view. So when you're in the workplace as a woman, you need to create the right allies. Same thing if you're a man. You protect yourself in the workplace as a threat by creating the right allies. The only time you will know who can be an ally is after a couple of months. You're not going to know right away. So because you don't know right away, you have to take your time to get to know all the girls in the office and all the guys in the office. And within the first 60 days, you'll be able to tell who's a snake and who's not. The problem with women is they don't wait. They kind of attach themselves to a colleague within the first week. And then this person turns up on you and switches up on you, and now you don't know what to do. I know this role, right? I know this role. I am a woman, so I understand what women feel. But again, I don't have an incessant, insatiable desire to connect myself to every girl that I meet. So I can control that part of me and wait to get to know people until I know who can be an ally. And guess what? I'll talk about this in the masterclass. Allies are actually very important, okay? If you're in corporate, you need somebody in there that can give you a tip. Like you need someone in there that can say, hey, this is what's going on. Hey, this is what I heard. Like you need some type of ally that can give you updates on what is going on, right? Or that can be your eyes and ears when you're not around, okay? So allies are very important. If you're a triple threat, you need to have at least one person that'll tell you, hey, this is what's been going on behind the scenes, right? So you have to create the right allies, though. A lot of times women create the wrong allies because they have this insatiable desire for connection that they create an ally with the woman that's actually the workplace narcissist, is what I like to call it. This is the woman that pins all the employees against each other. And because she was so friendly to you, you decided to be her ally. You can't do that. You created the wrong ally, right? So you have to watch out for that. Another way to protect yourself as a workplace triple threat is, okay, clutch your pearls when I say this. It's one of those other things. Ladies, if you dress up, you're going to get fired. I'm telling you right now. If you come to work with those heels on and that lipstick and you're curling that hair, you will get fired. The only time you will not get fired if you dress up in the workplace is if you come into work having a man over the age of 65 who is very masculine as your boss, who's probably going to compliment you and give you a raise for looking good when you walk in. 9 times out of 10, if you have a woman over you and you come in looking good, you're getting fired, you're going to get written up, or she's going to start giving you a hard time. And it's so crazy when I talk about this and I say this, how women try to give me a hard time, because I literally went on Reddit. And they literally, even the guys that are in medical school say that the women get a very hard time from the other women, especially if they're like just getting started. It's like that. So if you're a workplace threat, first of all, protect yourself as a workplace threat. So if you're a woman or a man and you're intelligent, you're already a threat right there. If you're smart and you work well, that already is threatening people and bothering people. But then when you're looking attractive too, that's really going to throw people off the edge. So dressing up will usually get you fired, ladies, unless you are working for a man that's like over the age of 65, who is, very masculine. He's probably going to fall in love with you. Okay, so listen. The next thing, protect yourself as a workplace triple threat. Document. We'll talk about this in the class. I'll teach you guys how to document incidents as well to report to HR so that you can still protect yourself and possibly have a lawsuit if they try to retaliate. Yes, there's certain things called workplace retaliation. We'll talk about that in the class, where if you bring something to HR and they fire you because you bring a complaint to them, or they manipulate the situation because you brought a complaint to them to get you fired or to get you to quit, yeah, that's a lawsuit. And we'll talk about that in the class. Just ways to report incidents to ensure that you're being heard and they are not going to use that as an excuse to potentially fire you because you are complaining about something that is going on that is not, according to the law or according to the workplace rules and regulations. Like, for example, racism. You cannot have a workplace make you take all of these courses on anti-discrimination, but yet you are doing racist things, and a lot of these corporate companies are getting away with that. We're going to talk about that. Same thing with sexual harassment on the job. That's a big thing. Bullying, female managers like to bully their female colleagues or employees and all that stuff. So we'll go through all of that. So you have to document, okay? You protect yourself as a workplace triple threat by documenting. When I was working at that corporate job when I was 20 and the lady was treating me like trash, I literally would print out, I don't know how to explain it because you guys don't know the job, but I would print out every document that I would submit. I would print it out and put it in a folder, because anytime she would say, oh, you missed this, you missed that, I'm like, no, this is exactly what I turned into the software. This is it. I printed out. So every case I did, I printed it and I kept it in a folder for myself. And my boss was shocked. Like, when he opened up my drawer, he's like, why did you print all of these out if they're already in the software system? I'm like, because she goes in the system and she starts changing numbers. So I have to print out what I submit before she goes in and she tries to change it. So I was one step ahead, okay? So you have to document. The next thing, if you're protecting yourself as a workplace triple threat, is to focus on promotions, learning skills, and moving up. If you're a triple threat in the workplace, you're gonna outgrow your department very quickly because you're smart and you get the job done and you get it done well. So you're gonna be outgrowing your department fast. People who are triple threats, people who are threats in the workplace, who are hyper intelligent, hyper focused, after some time, when your manager realizes how smart you really are, they're going to start micromanaging you. And not micromanaging you because you're doing something wrong, micromanaging you because they feel threatened. So if you're a threat in the workplace, your focus should be promotion. Learning skills, promotion. Learn a new skill, get promoted. Learn a new skill, get promoted. You should not be in the same department for years on end. One, you're going to grow out of it. Two, you're a threat in the workplace, which means you're very good at what you do. So you catch on to things very quickly and you can move on very quickly. So you should be promotion based. Focus on promotions and learning new skills to move up. The next thing is no coworkers on social media. Ooh, that is huge. That is huge. We don't do coworkers on social media. Sorry, I remember I had a situation in the workplace where I had a colleague come up to me and say, "Oh, what's your Instagram?" I said, "I'm not going to lie to you. I do have an Instagram, but I don't share my social media with my coworkers. I'm sorry. I just don't do that." And he's like, "Oh, what do you mean? I'm not going to say anything." I'm like, "No, I have a life outside of work. I like to have fun. I like to live my life. And it's just not something that I'm comfortable with. It's not something that I'm comfortable with." And I had to let him know that. And that's another major thing if you're a threat in the workplace, how to protect yourself is learn how to be straightforward with people. Let them know the time that you're on. You're there to work, make your money, and go home. You're not there to be their friend. You're not there to do any of that. So you are free. And that's another thing. You have to learn how to be assertive. I think a lot of women have a fear of being assertive because you don't want to be disliked. If a coworker asks you for your Instagram and you don't want to give it to them, just say, "I'm so sorry. I like to keep work and my personal life separate." That's it. The next thing is do not share your personal life. Everything that you share will be used against you, even things that you share in confidence. That boss that you think you can trust and you're sharing with her about how your kid is sick and all that stuff, they don't care and they will use that against you later on if they want to get you fired. Okay, I work in HR. I see it all the time. The vulnerabilities that you share with your supervisor can and will be weaponized against you when they want you to quit. Now, we'll talk about this in the class, but I guess I'll drop the tip here. A lot of these companies don't want to fire you because they don't want to pay you unemployment. So they want you to leave on your own. So basically, they're going to gaslight you into leaving. They're going to make the job unbearable. They're going to make it difficult. They're going to use your past against you, or they're going to say things like, "Oh, well, you have a sick child, so maybe that's why you're not working well. So we want to give your position to somebody else. That way you'll have time to take care of your sick child." Yes, I've had those cases come to my desk several times, and I'm reading it and I'm like, this is what happens when you share your vulnerabilities with your supervisor. You don't do that because they will grab it out of the hat when they can use it against you. The next thing, of course, is to work diligently to perfection. Your work ethic should be almost perfect. Literally. Nobody should have anything to say about the way that you work. I remember when I had this colleague, this woman hated me so much. I said, "Lady, let me explain something to you. The way that you feel about me, that's your business. It has nothing to do with me. Your insecurities are not my problem. But as far as my work ethic, you can't touch that. Sorry. You can't touch that. And everybody in this building knows that, including the owner. And I will get him. I have him on speed dial. So you are not going to bully me or push me out of this place because you have an insecurity problem. If it's not about my work, you really have no leverage or basis to not like me because all I do is come in and work." And I had this conversation with this colleague in front of my boss, and my boss was agreeing with me the whole time. And she threatened to quit because he was agreeing with me. He's like, "I don't understand. Mel does her work. She does it well. All the team say she works well. What's the problem?" And she couldn't give him an answer. So when you work well, it gives you a lot of leverage because companies don't really want to throw someone out who works well because it may take 5 people to do what just you do because you work so well. So work well and that'll be used as leverage. The next thing is to stay on the job market. Just because you're working at your current job and you like it doesn't mean that a good opportunity is not still out there. So stay on the job market, okay? And then the next thing is to make a great bond with your boss. create good bonds with your boss. Like all of my bosses that I had in the past that were really good bosses, we had a phenomenal bond. Honestly, again, being honest, all of the men that I had the best, all of my male bosses are the ones that I had the best bonds with. They promoted me so much. They were usually an old male over the age of 65. They would promote me and mention my names in rooms. One of my oldest bosses, literally, I would be driving his car up and down Miami Beach. It was just like chill vibes. I would go to the supermarket. He let me do whatever I want. Honestly, I would do my nails on the clock. It was just a smooth sailing because I worked well. It didn't take me 8 hours to get my job done. I could get it done in 3. Like if I just sit there and I worked at high intensity levels for 3 hours, I would have 5 hours and I would have nothing to do. So he would let me study because I was in college at the time. So again, if you work well, it's going to leverage you. If you have a good, cool, chill boss and they know you work well and you get all your work done, they'll let you work on other things. They won't care, especially if it's a man. So build a great bond with your boss. These are all tips on how to protect yourself as a workplace triple threat. I worked in HR for several years, so in this class, I am going to teach you guys tips, tricks, and valuable information so you can be a corporate Spartan. It is not easy working in corporate America, but if you have the right office politics and you know your rights legally, that will definitely help you have a more enjoyable experience. So this class, I will be teaching you from an HR standpoint, what to do, what not to do, and how to jump paths so that you can get the promotions that you always wanted, what to look out for and what not to look out for in office politics. Also, next class on power. Power is very, very important. This class is not about feminine power. It's about power in life and having staying power. To get through life, when you're dealing with humans, men and women, you need to learn how to make sure that you have staying power, and you need to learn how to make sure that all of the moves that you make sense so you can always be 25 steps ahead of everyone else, because life is chess, not checkers.